March 10th, 1876. In Boston, two men changed history at the same time. One was remembered as a genius. The other's name was completely forgotten. Both invented the same thing, but only one's name was written in history. This is the story of history's greatest patent race, and perhaps its greatest theft. Who really invented the telephone? In 1876, the world was even more silent than it is today. Sending a message to someone took days, even weeks. The telegraph existed, but it was slow and complex. You needed to know Morse code. People wrote letters to each other, and trains carried these messages. Sound could only reach the person next to you. Until one man found a way to pass sound through wires. Alexander Graham Bell was a voice expert from Scotland. His mother and wife were deaf. That's why Bell dedicated his life to understanding and transmitting sound. But Bell wasn't just a teacher. He was also an inventor. And in 1876, he had something in his dreams: to transmit the human voice through electrical wires. On the morning of March 10th, 1876, Bell was working in his laboratory in Boston. His assistant, Thomas Watson, was with him. Bell set up his experiment. He shouted from one room to another, "Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you." And Watson, in the room at the end of the corridor, had heard history's first telephone message. Sound had passed through the wire. This meant humanity had broken the silence. But this is only one side of the story, because on the same day, there was another man who invented the same thing. Elisha Gray was one of America's brightest electrical engineers at that time, one of the founders of the Western Electric Company. He had dozens of patents on telegraph systems, and like Bell, he was asking the same question: can sound be transmitted with electricity? Gray had been working on this problem for years, and at the beginning of 1876, he had found the solution: a device he called the liquid transmitter. This device converted sound waves into electrical signals. It was very similar to Bell's. In fact, according to some people, it was better than Bell's. February 14th, 1876, Valentine's Day. Elisha Gray gave an instruction to his lawyer. "Prepare the patent application. We'll send it to Washington tomorrow." Gray had invented the telephone, and he would prove it to the world. But on the same day, in Boston, Alexander Graham Bell had made the same decision. On the morning of February 14th, 1876, two patent applications reached the patent office in Washington. One from Bell, one from Gray. Both claimed to have invented the same thing: the telephone. But only one could win. And the winner would write his name in the history books. According to Patent Office records, Bell's application was approved at 11:30 a.m. Gray's application arrived at 2 p.m., but as a caveat, meaning a preliminary notice. This meant Gray hadn't made a full patent application yet. He just wanted to register his idea. Bell won the race. Patent number 174,465. This was perhaps the most valuable patent in history. But the story doesn't end here, because years later, some historians discovered something surprising. In Bell's original patent drawings, there was something very similar to Gray's liquid transmitter design. Did Bell add this design after the patent application? Or had he seen Gray's idea somewhere? Patent Office records showed there were last-minute changes in Bell's application. Had an employee shown Gray's application to Bell? Was there a bribe? We'll never know this for certain. The courts ruled in Bell's favor. But Gray said this until he died. "The telephone was my idea. Bell stole it." So who was right? Perhaps we'll never know. But in the end, the telephone changed the world. In 1880, there were only 50,000 telephones in the U.S. Although this number seemed quite large, in 1900, It was 600,000. In 1920, 13 million. Today, there are more than 8 billion telephones in the world. Our voice can now reach everywhere in the world. Did Bell invent it? Did Gray? Perhaps both. Perhaps great inventions are not the work of a single genius, but the collective work of many people asking the same question at the same time. But history wrote only one name, and that name was Alexander Graham Bell. This is the story of the man who stole the telephone. Or perhaps the story of the man who lost the telephone. You decide. If you enjoy these kinds of stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because in the next video, we'll tell the unknown story of another great invention.